have less than one good friend on
Hmm.
average, less than one good friend. And that means a whole lot of them have none. All they have are clicks and likes, but they're actual relationships where they get up and go somewhere and share an experience with somebody, or they have somebody they can call if they need to move their couch downstairs, or they need a ride to the airport or something. That's just simply not part of people's existence anymore. And it's sad that we don't have that kind of connectivity because the number one need in all people is acceptance or belongingness.
So speaking of good things, you had an incredible run on television for over 2 decades. Then a couple years ago, you decided to jump in on the online thing. That's when we first connected. And I told you the first time that we spoke that you actually helped me out a lot when I was watching you on Oprah back in, gosh, it must be 2002 or something like that. Maybe even before then, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
what do you make of the transition? How is the transition from kind of corporate controlled media to freedom, running your own operation, doing whatever you want, getting out on the road, as you just said? How has that changed? How's that been for you?
It's really been good, and I have nothing but positive things to say about the time I spent at CBS. Good people treated me well, and, I had a great time there, and, it was a difficult decision to make. We I came to a point where I either had to renew for 3 more years or go do something different, and I just really wanted to go do something different, and, it was the right decision for me. I'm glad that I did. I like having the freedom to do the things I wanna do, talk about everything I wanna talk about, uh, get to different platforms because, Dave, you know this as well as anybody because of the way you deliver your message, people are getting their information in such a different way now than they were. I've got grandkids that are 13 and 15. They don't even have televisions in their room. They don't even
Yep.
watch television. They get their information in smaller bites. Um, and our attention span in America, I saw a research study the other day, is 8 seconds. It's 8 seconds, and if you don't get somebody's attention really strong in 8 seconds, you're gonna lose them, and then their ability to stay with something, if you
Yeah.
do get their attention, the length of time's about 8 minutes, and then you better change subjects and get on to something fresh that'll hang on to them a little bit longer, so
Oh
it's just
man.
the time of somebody sitting passively and watching something for an hour that you're gonna choose and feed to them without them having any inputs really gone.
What do you make of, so you got grandchildren 13, 15, they don't even watch TV, obviously. I mean, there's a whole generation now that just seems ridiculous to them. But that at least what we had with television was on Sunday nights, people were you'd watch The Sopranos or you'd watch The Simpsons or you'd watch 60 Minutes, and then you'd come into the office Monday. We had some sort of social cohesion, literally, that was wrapped around scheduling in some sense, where now everyone
Right.
watches everything on demand. So even the little things that might bring us together. Oh, you watched Game of Thrones last night or whatever. Man, I can't even think of a show that's been on in the last 5 years. That tells you everything. Um, Even that has been kind of ripped away from us because of the on-demand lifestyle.
It really has, and if you have commonality with somebody, which is really rare, most young people, in particular, have less than one good friend on
Hmm.
average, less than one good friend. And that means a whole lot of them have none. All they have are clicks and likes, but they're actual relationships where they get up and go somewhere and share an experience with somebody, or they have somebody they can call if they need to move their couch downstairs, or they need a ride to the airport or something. That's just simply not part of people's existence anymore. And it's sad that we don't have that kind of connectivity because the number one need in all people is acceptance or belongingness. And when we don't have that personal connection, that's a big void in people's lives. And the number one group that's lonely in this country are young people. And number two are old people,
Hmm.
the elderly. It's a terrible thing to experience. Um, if you have a chronic disease, the mortality rate for elderly people with a chronic disease is 40% higher if they're lonely. That's how profound loneliness is, and we're seeing that in young people and in elderly people. It's terrible that we don't have connectivity. We need these common bonds. We need things that pull people together.
Most people don't realize that pork is one of the top sources of parasites worldwide. The WHO and CDC both list it as a major source of tapeworms and toxoplasmosis. And research shows pork's poor detox pathways make it easy for parasites to thrive and spread. If you eat pork or sushi, travel, have pets, or just want to protect your gut and immune system, it's smart to do with the medical grade parasite cleanse at least once a year. That's why the wellness company created the ivermectin and mebendazole parasite cleanse, a powerful combo that helps flush out parasites and supports your immunity and digestion. Just fill out a quick intake form and get a 4-use medical grade cleanse delivered to your door. Head on over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $90 and get free shipping. Don't wait. Your gut will thank you. Yeah, is that the weird position we're in right now? We don't, as a society, know what those common bonds are because of the phones and the way we've atomized everything. So in some sense, the only thing that seems to bring us together is when something terrible happens. So if there's some sort of tragedy, a shooting or whatever, and even that doesn't hold us together for very long anymore.
No, it doesn't, because the next headline comes along and we move on to something else. And we've got to find a way. And I you said it so well when you said tragedy brings us together. One of the series of shows that I did last year was around Hurricane Helene that came through
Hmm.
Western North Carolina. They don't get hurricanes in North Carolina, but nothing like this. And uh, I, I went there and I had some Black Hawk helicopters, and we were able to go into some of these mountain communities that were completely cut off. You couldn't get there by road or rail, and they were completely cut off. And we went in and took in, Starlinks so people could have connectivity, and took them food and water and this sort of thing. And I have to tell you, I saw America at its best, because this was a time when people, they didn't care if their neighbor or their friends or who was coming in to help were Democratic, Republican. Nobody asked, nobody cared. These were just neighbors helping neighbors, people shoveling mud out of basements, people that were helping those that were flooded out, had nowhere to stay. They were just, I tell you, it was America at its best. People that may have been living 3 or 4 doors down from each other and never met were all of a sudden sleeping on the floor next to each other, sharing food, sharing water, helping each other. And it was tragedy that brought them together. You hate that it took that, but it was so great to see these people really coming together and helping one another. We need more of that. I just hate that it's tragedy that brings it out.
So I got one. Let me float this to you, see what you think. We are rolling into our 250th anniversary in America, and I do have a feeling that with some of the good things that Donald Trump has done, and then rolling into 250, that 2026 is going to be a very positive year. Yes, there will always be the tragedies. There's always going to be the bad things, but I think there's going to be a real shift. I think people really want it. And maybe the 250 gives us an excuse to be proud of the country again and maybe get to knowing our neighbors again and putting aside some of that. Am I being Pollyannish, or are you gonna come with me on this crazy ride? What do you think?
No, I don't think you're being Pollyannish. I do think we need we need rally points. And I think a 250th anniversary is maybe going to give people permission to say, you know what, I am proud of America. And I get tired of people apologizing for this country. And maybe this will give people permission to say, hey, this is a watershed event. This country's 250 years old, and we seem to be doing pretty well. And if people will give themselves permission to not feel guilty about not being perfect, to not feel guilty about being successful when not everybody is at the same level, to be proud of the good things that we're doing as international citizens, and to be proud of what we're achieving domestically. There is no question that 2026 can be a real uptick year for this country. And that's so important because when you have a positive mindset, not being Pollyannish, but actually a positive mindset, uh, we function at a higher cognitive level, we function at a higher physical level, we're more productive. Everything goes better when you have a positive mindset. Your brain changes, your brain chemistry changes, your physical chemistry everything changes when you have a positive mindset. And that's true individually and collectively. So I think we are going to have a good year in 2026. And I think if people will give themselves permission to celebrate, it'll be great.
For more insightful conversations on how to live the good life, go to our lifestyle playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a wide variety of topics,